Hey guys, I'm Russ Snyders and I just won the KBF National Angler of the Year. We're here on Old Hickory Lake near my hometown, Nashville. And I'm going to walk you through my rig a little bit and show you my setup for kayak fishing and how it led to my success on the trail series this year. The Yakima long arm here is a nice accessory which makes getting the kayak in and out of my truck a little bit easier. When I'm sliding it out here, it allows me to get a better angle for when lifting and carrying it in and out of the truck. All right, well, I always carry my kayak down first. In this case, we don't have a boat ramp, so we're just gonna be dragging it into the water. But I'll take the kayak first so it's not too heavy, and then just start loading my gear. Hooking up the Anchor Wizard right now, and if on these windy days like this, it's a big help for sure. Just mounts right here on the gear track. And I'll put this through, and I actually like using a drag chain, which I'll be hooking up here in a second. This drag chain here will really help, slow me down and most importantly, keep my bow pointed into the wind when I need it. You can also put an anchor on here too, but a lot of times that'll get stuck, especially if you're in a lot of rock. So I've had a lot of success with this, especially in the rivers. It's great, but in the lakes it works great too. And when I'm not using it, I'll just kind of tuck it up under here, tighten this up a little bit. And then when I need it, I'll just lean forward, drop it in the water, release it, and it really works great. It's been the paddle I've been using all year. It's the Bending Branches Angler Pro. It's their high-end model, super lightweight. I use a 240 centimeter. I'm a shorter guy, so yeah, it's what I've been comfortable with. So come to the back here. I've got my flagpole from Yak Attack, and then I'll hook up my Yak Attack GoPro mount right in front of it. When I'm not using the Torqeedo, I'll kind of alternate sides here. But in this case, I'm gonna put it on the same side. This is another item that I definitely don't leave home without, especially if I'm gonna be fishing deeper water. It's my lure retriever. Just got an old rod, cut it off here, put an old saltwater reel, some rope on it. And like I said, it'll slide right up on here like this when I'm not using it. If I get hung up, drop this down, line goes on here. You have these chains here to snag a crankbait, or I'll even use it for jigs and plastics for just about everything. And convenient little place for it here is just tucked up right in here. Just gives me easy access to reach around and grab it anytime I get hung up on the bottom. All right, well, this little cooler here has been a nice little accessory. Makes things easy, just as a kind of random storage compartment. I'll have my drinks, sunglasses, some extra batteries here to charge my phone in case it should die, GoPro, little rag, my lunch. Also works nice because it has this bungee system here which holds my hog trough in place and makes it really easy for me just to reach around and grab the hog trough just like that, and then I just slide it right back in. Locks in place. It's worked really well for me. So this waterproof box here is also a really nice accessory that I use. It's waterproof and it locks in here, so if my kayak was ever to flip over, I'm gonna make sure my necessities, my phone, my keys, and my wallet are all safe. Locks in, and then it hooks up right underneath my seat. And if I need to take a photo of fish, I'll pull out my phone. It's right here, just easy access. Yeah, been a nice little feature for my tournament fishing. So in this front hatch here, I'll have sometimes water can get in here a little bit. I have scupper plugs. Basically put a lot of my stuff that, I don't mind getting a little bit wet sometimes. Extra spare spools of line. I got some dye for my soft plastics, little booties, rope, bungee cords, and in this front pocket right here, I carry all my paperwork since I have to get my boat registered, since I have the Torqeedo there on the back, and just some extra nuts and bolts and little tools and stuff that I might need throughout the day. All right, this is the Torpedo Ultralight 403. I had this now for 2 years, and for me it's definitely a game changer. You know, before, it was the 2018 National Championship, so about 1.5 years ago or so, and they were predicting windy conditions for the tournament, and I actually picked this up about a week before the tournament, just because I was worried about the wind. I knew I wasn't going to be fishing backwaters so much, so I was going to be exposed to the elements, and it was definitely a good decision because, you know, just being able to fish hands-free and I'm not worried about switching back and forth between the paddle and the rod. It just allows you that many more casts and allows you to travel a greater distance as well. And like I said, I've had it for 2 years now, and anytime I'm allowed to use it, I'm you know, definitely happy to have it mounted on the back of my kayak here. Also, when I'm not using my Torqeedo, I'll have a rudder, and this will just slide in this side, and I use the bungees to hook it up right here, and it's a pretty easy switch over. And what I've done here actually is just use some paper clips. I put some split rings here, and all I need to do is disattach this and take off the paper clip here, and the rudder connects right to these cables, so it's a really easy transfer just to go from one to the other. Also have a guard here to, you know, help protect if you're hitting logs or rocks or anything like that. This guard here is going to take a lot of the impact, and it also has a little cutter, so if you get grass in the prop, it really assists with cutting a lot of that loose for you too. So usually when I'm out here, I'll carry 6 rods, sometimes 7. Typically I'll at least have 1 spinning rod, and the rest will be casting rods. It'll all kind of depend on where I'm fishing, as far as, you know, if I'm having you know, more reaction bait rods, crankbait rods, or more flipping rods. So this last tournament in La Crosse, Wisconsin, actually had 2 flipping rods, and this one here was one of the 2 rods that I was throwing. It's an iRod Air Series. That's a 7'7" heavy action, and I'll fish this on a quantum high-speed reel with 50-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. And for that specific tournament, I was using a bobber stop, 1/2 ounce tungsten weight, 4/0 hook with a Reaction Innovations Spicy Beaver, which just came out earlier this year. It's been a great bait. It's got a lot of action on it, and it's good for flipping. You could use it on a swim jig. It's a pretty versatile bait. It's something that I like, you know, kind of moving in the water column rather than just dragging it. Usually in, you know, from spring to fall, usually when the water's a little bit warmer and they want a little more action out of the bait. Like I said, these tails kick a lot, and it can look like a craw, but it also, you know, resembles a bluegill quite a bit as well, which I think these fish up in Wisconsin, that's what they were primarily feeding on, was the bluegill. And I was fishing on grass lines. I'd stay out in about 10 feet of water, and there was big flats that came out to about 4 or 5 feet, and the grass would grow a little bit off of the flat onto that ledge. The grass would grow, you know, to 5 or 6 feet of water. So I'd try to position my boat in 10. I'd flip it up into about 4 feet on top of the ledge, and I'd try to hop it right off that ledge, right into the deeper just edge of those grass flats right there. And I was, you know, working it pretty fast, and trying to cover as much water as possible. And the real key was to try to find the areas in the grass where it had the steepest break. Sometimes you had big flats come out and it just kind of tapered off like this, and other times it just really steep ledge, more or less. And those were the areas the fish were concentrated on. Now if you had a piece of wood or something like that on an area, it was almost a guaranteed fish. So like I said, this right here, been a killer bait for me since I picked it up, I guess over the summer. I've had some great success with it. So another rod that's really been a key to a lot of my success is the iRod Gabe's Rip Wrap Special. It's a 7-foot crankbait rod. You know, I do a lot of cranking out here in the Tennessee River. And, so right here, it's 7 foot, good for any medium-sized crankbait. It goes from that 5 to 10 foot range. A lot of the crankbaits I'll actually airbrush myself. I'll buy the blanks, or kind of knockoffs of other companies, I guess. But that way I'll be able to really dial in certain colors that I really like. Also do that with a lot of my jigs and spinner baits as well. A lot of times with my tackle, I'm kind of particular about colors, or, you know, blade sizes, or different things like that. So that just, you know, making a lot of your own lures kind of allows you to control some of those variables, and gets you to dial in exactly what you're looking for in a bait. All right, another rod that's been really key to my success this year is a 7'2" swim jig and chatterbait rod. It's an iRod Genesis 2. It's a 7'2" medium heavy. It's got a light enough tip on it, which allows me to make accurate casts, and it's just the right length, I believe, for using swim jigs, either 3/8 or 1/2 ounce. That's definitely one of my confidence baits, especially on the Tennessee River, working shallow water, around wood or grass, skipping under docks. This rod right here, I pair it with 17-pound fluorocarbon, and it's definitely one of my favorite go-to rods that I got. Another important tool in my arsenal is this Humminbird. It's the Helix 7 side imaging. It's the Gen 3, which is new for this year. The biggest difference between that and the Gen 2 is it has the Mega side imaging, which has really been a key feature, and especially when you're working offshore and ledges, and sometimes even shallow water too. But just be able to see what's on the side of you, whether it's a brush pile or rock pile. And I believe it's a good size for a kayak too. It's big enough to give you a really clear picture of what's going on, you know, but not too big where it's gonna get in the way when you're, you know, casting or having to deal with fish or all that. So another important thing about the Humminbird 2 is it has the capability of having the Lake Master chips for your GPS, which shows extremely accurate contour lines. I think as far as the mapping goes, that Lake Master is on top of the game, in my opinion. So I've been really happy with this, and I'll be sure to have it on for the next year for sure. All right, last but not least, this is my Nrs Life Jacket. Anytime I hit the water, I always make sure to have this on. Yeah, I keep my line cutters right here, nice and handy. They have lots of accessories, lots of little pockets. It's really comfortable, just how it's designed, and having this back part here, which kind of sits right above the seat. And these life jackets are specially designed for kayak fishing. All right, so to wrap things up, this is my setup for the Wilderness Systems Attack 120. Had this kayak for 3 years, and it's really a process, you know, just to dial things in and get into different accessories, and you know, over time, you know, you really kind of get your kayak how you want it. And I'm looking forward to the next year, and hopefully I can continue this success onto the next tournament season for the KBF Trail Series.